Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now. It's a weekly forecast program with astrology and a guided meditation activation to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and Susie Mazzoli, Master Healer. We invite you to find out more about our individual work, Susie Mazzoli, susiemazzoli.com, or insightoasis.com for astrology. We look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends. Here we go.
Welcome, everyone, to this week where I am 1 week older. No, actually, just one whole year older already. And if anyone else was having their birthdays this month, happy birthdays. And Pam is going to let us know all about the week starting Monday, the 17th of June, which is week 25 of this year. And I believe that this is going to be a very big, important week. Summer solstice, Pam, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
Big full moon. So let's see what's happening, and then I will be back for our meditation.
Okay, very good. So the 17th, the moon has gone void of course at 2:05 a.m. Eastern time, which is the time zone I speak in. So you need to adjust if you don't live in the Eastern time zone. But at 2:38 a.m., so just about a half hour later, it enters the sign of Scorpio. Now, when the moon is in the sign of Scorpio, depending on a person's comfort level with Scorpio energy, it can feel as though people are more intense or more focused, or that everything seems as though people want to have conversations that go deeper. Now, that's not everyone's comfort level, obviously. And even people with strong Scorpio placements are often selective about with whom they have those conversations with. So one thing I'm looking at is we're building towards that full moon in Capricorn, which happens later in the week, and I'll talk about, and as Susie mentioned, the summer solstice. So this is a week that can feel as though things are intensifying. And when the moon is in the sign of Scorpio, that definitely has the layer to it that people who do lean more sensitive, especially people with strong water signs, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer, these are people who feel situations intensely, deeply. Now, you may think, well, doesn't everybody feel things that are going on? What exactly is Pamela talking about? Yes, of course, everyone feels to some degree, but we feel differently. With water signs, the feeling is sensitized. So there's that pool of connection that can happen where they sense how people are feeling in a room, what's going on, and that can be magnified based on their personal stories. So they can be absolutely accurate about what they're reading in a sensitive way, or they can be magnifying something that isn't that big a deal to someone else because of the water sign person's innate sensitivity. So these couple of opening days, one thing that seems very clear to me is if you're a person who basically is sensitized to how people are feeling, including yourself, what's going on in the room. Maybe you work in one of the therapeutic arts, or you might be a highly creative person, because creative people often have as part of their outlets this sensitivity. Another thing that's very heightened over these couple of days are people who work intuitively in finance, real estate, things like that, having people who have a sense of when to take action. Now, I'm not saying yes, do it. If someone comes along and says to you, oh, here's a great deal, invest in this. But I am saying that many of us may feel an intense pull to take action on something that we're feeling at this point in time. So that's why it's critically important that you do your vetting, that you know what action you're taking and the possible consequences to it. When our feelings are sensitized, when they're heightened, yes, we can do absolutely amazing things. Certain people can put their hand on someone's arm and immediately start to allay anxiety or help that person feel more centered or better about something. Other people can have a sense that something is going to take off, but here's the thing to keep in mind. I think at times of, well, there are people who are prescient. They just have a sense of what's ahead in the future. I mean, they're science fiction writers. They're people who have an idea when they're kids about, oh, wouldn't this be great if this television program I was watching, I could delay and watch it another time or whenever I wanted to. So when I say, I'm talking about way before some of the listeners have any idea what I'm talking about, but boomers know what I'm talking about, or even Gen X. It's that, oh, this is before videos came in. And so people who have that sense of something that's unfolding, we also want to align it with timing. So we can have an absolute sense of truth on Monday and on Tuesday, the 17th, 18th. Some of us, not all of us, but it depends, especially where Scorpio moves through your horoscope and where Pisces is right now, because I'm also looking at the placement of Neptune. So if you know that you've got this kind of unfolding thought process, you also want to be aware of, is it aligned with the present? Or are you jumping ahead in time? Are you imagining things that aren't here yet? Because if that's the case, then no, we don't necessarily want to take action, invest, or have a conversation before somebody's really ready to go there. It can be a heightened awareness of, oh, I sense this person is feeling this, but that doesn't mean it's appropriate to initiate or go into that conversation. Sometimes it's just a lead in, a sketch, a walk, an overture of what can unfold. Other times you're absolutely right. But that's why it's so important to do that second check in, that third check in. Am I really following up on something that is here now to discuss or unfold? Or am I simply anticipating something that will be available in the coming months, coming days, coming years? So it may be a time when we just jot something down, pay attention, earmark something, put it on our calendar to look at another point in time. or it might be a time to dive right into it. This can be especially ripe for someone who's in a creative process, what I touched on earlier. It might be, oh, I want to explore this way of painting or this color scheme, or explore what would happen if I wrote a chapter that went in this direction. Doesn't mean you're necessarily going to commit to it, but it's how it unfolds that is so magical on these couple of days. Really, really rich days. Do not ignore intuition. Just explore carefully if it's time to take action on whatever it is you are responding to. The 19th, which is Juneteenth, the 19th, the moon goes void, of course, at 12:19 p.m. So I anticipate really wonderful conversations, especially that morning, ideas that can come through. Again, as I said, this opening week, very, very creative, very sensitive, very connective. And we simply want to be sure that we're listening as well as we're responding. Then the moon enters the sign of Sagittarius at 12:32 p.m. This very different energy than that Scorpio moon. What's happening is we're getting into mutable fire, so it's more action oriented and it's hot. So it basically is saying, okay, I want to make something happen. I care about this and I want to have it go in this direction, which is why it was so critically important to really be aware of how things are best presented and how they could unfold in a in a generous way that allows people space to receive all kinds of information. Because once that moon in Sag comes in, people want to move it. They aren't as patient. They aren't as reflective. The morning was incredibly reflective. And if we did our homework, we will know how it is appropriate to respond as this day continues, because a lot may be presented to us, a lot of ideas, a lot of opportunities, especially as we get into late afternoon, evening, and we want to make sure that we are taking action that is going to be beneficial in the way intended. That summer solstice on the 20th is exact at 4:51 p.m. That's when the sun enters the sign of Cancer. Now, this particular summer solstice has it has an energy around it that really is asking us to find appropriate partners to do the work that's necessary to continue with the dream. And so there's no short changing, there's no like fast forward. And this is the thing that's so important about as we're moving towards the full moon, which happens the next day, is are we willing to do the work, create the structure, stand up with and support the players and the causes that we truly believe in? Or do we just want to flail our arms around and demand solutions without being part of the architecture that needs to be in place in order to have these things happen? It's not an easy position that we're finding ourselves as we move through 2024, because one of the things that's happening is there's a lot of dissolving of um, of inappropriate structures or systems. And we may not even be 100% clear that something that we thought was there is losing its legs or its way of being because we had relied on it being a certain way for so long. And that's why it's critical to really look at how is the thing made and how is it going to withstand the demands that are being put on it. So the ideal with this summer solstice is to reach towards fulfillment or a sense of bringing light into areas where some people have been afraid to look. And part of where the fear to look is coming in is okay, as we see that systems are changing, that things are not going to be the same. How do we invite in structures that are sustainable and also allow the spiritual connections we want to foster? And this is really so important at this point in time, where basically what's happening is our technological evolution is just lightning past where the overall human spiritual and emotional evolution is. And so can we do that leap into what needs to happen, that shift into the understanding how we bridge these forces in a way that will be sustainable, graceful, and support human evolution? And so that's a big abstraction for somebody who might just be thinking, okay, it's the summer solstice. How do I bring more prosperity in my life? Maybe a relationship. And Pamela's talking all about human evolution and technology. Well, yes, I am. But I'm also saying, well, invite in the connections that allow you to truly make those connections, because there's a lot of seductions that are happening when things seem to be moving very quickly. There's messages, information, everything is conveyed so fast that it doesn't have time to sit, gestate, evolve, and develop. And so take some time this summer solstice to just gaze at the light on a flower, or moving over water, or enjoy the aspects of human connection, sharing food, however you do it. And allow yourself also the possibility that even though we're in this time of amazing change, that the things that are of intrinsic value to what allows us our humanness and our connection with our natural world, these are things we want to support and grow with. And so that and I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it right now very briefly. So we are all experiencing a sense of grief as we're moving into this accelerated way of connecting. Our world has changed radically with how we move around it, how we travel, what we do day to day, foods we eat, landscape around us. And we don't want to be caught in the sense of just ruining what's lost or what will not be. There's an importance in leaving space for what comes next, because this is all part of the design. And part of the design is to invite in what comes next with an expectation that we will be able to benefit from it, but also that all natural creatures, that our systems of connection will also benefit from it. So we don't want to get caught in what no longer is and the past. We want to move into an expectation of what we don't yet know. The moon goes void, of course, at 6:58 p.m. on Friday the 21st. Now, this is the day of the full moon, and the full moon is exact at 9:08 p.m., and it's a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. And what's really nice about this particular full moon is, again, if we did our homework about moving, it's okay to know that we're in a sense of grief and loss. I mean, anyone who has ever experienced the death of a loved one, it's not something we move through quickly, nor should we. And so there's that sense of it's never going to be what it was. I will never have the opportunity to touch that person. And that is incredibly painful. So in the same way that as we're moving through grief of things that have changed, oh, that way of connecting or that way of traveling or the woods that I used to walk through, like the old Joni Mitchell song, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Those things are appropriate to have a seed of grief from. But from that seed, we want to build into what we cannot yet imagine. And this full moon is all about that. It's being lit by the sun in Cancer. And Cancer is symbolic of the crab, the sea. It's a water sign. And we've all come from the sea. It's part of our human evolution, our blue planet. We're all connected in this universal unconscious and in the way we share the connection of water, our most valuable commodity here on Earth. So, as that Cancer sun is lighting the moon in Capricorn, it is informing us about what it is we need to build. What do each of us need to do? How do each of us create this architecture for the future? And again, you don't need to know what that is today, tonight, or as you're listening to this. You just have to invite in the possibility. You just have to say you're willing. You're willing to be part of the becoming. And this full moon is all about allowing the becoming and not getting caught up in what we think it should be, but allowing it to become what it is and what our part is in it. So I see this as being a lovely weekend to allow yourself to create whatever is before you. Maybe it's as simple as picking greens for a salad, or as profound as sitting down to start to lay out a blueprint for a new structure. But whatever it is, invite it in, be a part of it, allow it to happen. And now I turn it over to Susie.
Beautiful, allowing it to happen. Okay, everybody, let's go into our meditation. So I invite you all to have a place of stillness, making sure that you're sitting with a nice straight back, and as much as possible, feeling your body being symmetrically placed. And as we sit, taking a few deeper breaths and allowing ourselves to find a place of peace. And let's focus today our meditation on light, on the enlightenment of our being, in fact, of all beings everywhere. And as a Tibetan Buddhist, I've been told by many of my teachers that on these special days like the solstice, it's very important for us to really set our intentions and do our prayers, that there's a lot of very potent, strong energy for us that can be magnified. So it's important for us when we are doing these prayers to pray for all beings, not just ourselves or our immediate family or the people around us, but to really put out your prayer in every direction so that it can be facing all directions, all places, to all beings everywhere. And let us focus on bringing in enlightened thought, bringing in enlightenment to all beings. Enlightenment, compassionate thought, compassionate actions, loving kindness, peace to all beings everywhere. So we can imagine in our mind's eye that we are now representing all sentient beings on the planet, maybe on all planets everywhere, so that we are doing this in service of all beings. And visualize now that from your heart center, beautiful, bold energy of unconditional love, which is beyond us, beyond the me, beyond my personality, beyond my views, beyond my ideas, way beyond me. But deep in my heart is that place of unconditional love that has no beginning and no end. It is an endless, boundless stream of unconditional love. It has nothing to do with my personal history or my personal future, but this energy is within me. It is within all beings everywhere. And just focus your energy, focus your thoughts on this stream of unconditional love within you. at the heart center. And as you're feeling it, you might want to visualize the color green for the heart chakra, beautiful emerald. Visualize this as a strong and vibrant color. And visualize this unconditional stream of love, loving kindness, reaching through from the heart center to all parts of your body, so that your whole body is now bathing in this green light. And every atom, no matter where it has been, now is resonating at this frequency of unconditional love. Every atom in your being is filled with joy and resonates with this frequency of unconditional love. Every atom in your body is now calibrating to be in this frequency. It falls into this frequency with great ease. It really likes to be in this frequency. And feel yourself now beginning to emit this frequency, being this energy of unconditional love, and begin to push this out from your being in all directions, from the soles of your feet, from every pore of your skin, from the top of your head, from all around your body. Feel this frequency now being pushed out into the world around you, that you are creating this and sending it out. Sending it out now to everything around you, bathing all of the sentient beings around you, bathing all of the plants and animals, all of the atoms that make up your world, the ground, the sky, the heavens. See this energy going out to all beings everywhere. And as you do this, you recognize that this energy is not coming from you. This energy is there all the time, everywhere. This frequency of unconditional love is what holds this world as you see it together. And what you are doing now is just tapping in, literally, to that energy field that is already present. It is ever present, always ready, always there. As we take a few deeper breaths, slowly beginning to open our eyes, we send out the wishes for all beings to know peace, for all beings to be free from suffering, for all beings to know unconditional love. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much, Pam. And we will be with you next week. Love now.
You have been listening to Susie Mazzoli and Pamela Cuccinell of Insight Now. If you've enjoyed this program, consider a donation. A link for that at astrologyinsightnow.com. We invite you to join us again for next week's podcast. Please share with others who can benefit from insight, and have a stellar week.